The meeting of the County Council is now called to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. The optional prayer or invocation at this time.
Chairman, I'll be taking care of that. When Miss Lowell retired, she asked us, the new members, to make sure that we try to say a few words. If they're religious, great. If they're not, just have something to think about. When you feel like quitting, think about why you started. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm a man of few words.
Yeah. Roll call, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Mrs. Clear,
Here.
Mr. Rastetter,
Here.
Mrs. Rennie,
Here.
Mrs. Showerman,
Here.
Mr. Schenk,
Here.
Chairman Horton.
Here. This is the part where we hear from the public. You call ahead are on the agenda, and I see that one has. You'll be allotted 5 minutes. And if anyone else wants to speak after that, you'll be allotted 3 minutes. And first up is Mr. Brenton Davis.
Good evening, council, residents. Is what many may think that we're here tonight on a witch hunt. In fact, it's the exact opposite. As a taxpayer and a representative of taxpayers, we're here for one simple thing. That's truth and transparency. As taxpayers, we're invested in government initiatives. We are investors. And with that, we have a right to know. Council has a responsibility to ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent morally, ethically, responsibly, and legally. And I think we can all agree that Erie has a turbulent history of government scandal, misuse of taxpayer funds, and if you look at the papers in front of you and the evidence that you'll see tonight, you'll see that you have the power to inquire into matters revolving around government funds. If you look in the table of contents and follow me the first, I just went back merely 17 years and spanned over $20 million of misused and lost taxpayer funds, starting with CamTech, the first community college initiative, which the taxpayers took a bath for $17 million. City of Erie Mayor Rick Filippi, insider trading. Former Erie County Judge Michael Joyce, sentenced to fraud. County Councilman Ebert Beeman, Social Security fraud. Erie County prosecutor, charged with grabbing a police weapon. The GCAC scandal, exposed by former Councilman Jay Brenneman. The Catholic Diocese child sex scandal cover-up. Sonia Arrington, 33 counts of wire fraud. And the ongoing investigation of Rebecca Leone, formerly of Wattsburg School District, currently accused of embezzling $320,000. And then last but not least, the $2.84 million that the county is currently losing to the bankruptcy of GEIDC. That's over $20 million senselessly lost over the course of 20 years, coming out to over an average of $1 million per year. That might not seem like a big deal to some on council and those in government, but to those residents out there scraping to make ends meet, to pay their taxes, try telling them that their $3,000, $2,000, $1,000 that they paid to the government was a complete waste. If you follow further, it would be the right to know request, in which I requested of the county the financials of Empower Erie and the Pennsylvania Policy Forum. And you'll see as the evidence we present tonight through the following speakers and the residents that follow me as to why this is highly questionable and why the taxpayers demand answers. You'll see in the following page would be the response from Erie County's solicitor, Richard Perhax, in which he stated, Empower Erie and Western Pennsylvania Policy Forum, which are private entities separate and distinct from the County of Erie, in his email. My question to you and council is, if Empower Erie is separate from the county, which they are, Why did attorney Tim McNair, current chairman of Empower Erie, send a cease and desist letter to myself last evening? Are these entities separate? Why did he list members on council in said cease and desist letter? Do we not have a county solicitor for such things if overstepped boundaries have been done? In fact, we do, because this email is from him. I also have a copy attached of the cease and desist, the warning from Mr. McNair. And last but not least, as we move forward, and I implore council for transparency in government and better use of taxpayer funds, to the Ethics Act of Pennsylvania, taken directly from ethicspa.gov, Section A, Conflict of Interest. It states, no public official or public employee shall engage in conduct that constitutes a conflict of interest. And as the residents state behind me and present other evidence as we move forward in this evening, you'll see why residents continue to demand answers and demand transparency when it comes to the use of taxpayer dollars. These are facts based upon your own resolutions filed by your county clerk and posted on the Erie County website. Both Councilman Horton and Anderson have voted on issues directly involving Empower Erie, while both have direct ties as a co-founder and director. Whether or not current involvement takes place, is this not a direct conflict of interest? These are issues that we implore council to take a deeper look at. Again, we're not here on a witch hunt, but taxpayers deserve to know.
Your time is up. Please, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Freda Tepfer, and since 1982 or 1983, I've been a homeowner either in Washington State or in Pennsylvania, and I've paid property tax all that time. In all that time, I've never had children. I've never benefited from my property taxes going to pay for school children of my own, and I've never minded that. I'm also an alumnus of Nassau Community College in New York, Skagit Valley College, Bellingham Technical College, Whatcom Community College, Walla Walla Community College. I've worked at some of these community colleges, and they have been very, very important to me. I'm just grateful to be able to be the beneficiary of community college. I would not have successfully finished college without a community college. And I have a lot of advantages over some people that we're worried about in this county. I do have some disabilities you may not know about, and that's why I did benefit. But what I'm concerned about is that we not get mired in stuff that is really meaningless and lose the fact that the ultimate value to the community may be getting people onto the tax rolls that never would have been otherwise without the benefit of what a community college can offer. And I wanted to express my gratitude to Pat Howard, who set the record straight in the Erie Times News after our outgoing Senate President Pro Tem set forth some actual lies in his article in the Erie Times News about, and that he actually said he was going to provide free tuition in the MPRC by raiding the money from the Erie Community Foundation. So really, let's think about where is truth and where is value, and how many of us really care about all of the members of our community. I have never benefited a dime out of my school tax contribution, but I have never once regretted it. Thank you.
Let me say this to the other speakers to line up. So I gave Mr. Davis quite a bit of latitude. This isn't a back and forth, and we don't call out names of individual council people here. This isn't that type of meeting. And if you're suggesting anything criminal or conflictive, the district attorney's office is upstairs, and that would be the proper place to air that. And so for all the other speakers that are coming, if you have something to say about policy or even conflicts of interest, please refrain from directing it or to any particular council person, or you will be shut down. Thank you. Next.
Good evening. I'm Fred Langell. I've lived in Edinburgh for 40 years. I'm elected representative of Borough Council. My term ends in 2022. I'm a disabled veteran, and I'm the founder of the flagship Niagara League in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm on the Recruitment and Retention Committee for the Erie County Emergency Services. Education is most important in our future. I'm the product of Barron University, Barron College, Penn State University, because the Veterans Administration didn't have any place else to send me. The lady in 2002, at the age of 56, said, "I only wish I had a community college in Erie that we could send you to." I ended up going to Barron for 4 years for education. It started at 56. I understand Edinburgh is having some difficulty with the Perico Center. The Perico Center, if I'm not mistaken, was a very generous transition from the Perico family to the Edinburgh University, and I would encourage County Council and the executive to look into the possibility of Erie County working with Edinburgh and the other universities collectively to establish a vibrant, exciting community college for our area. This is one of the best places in the country to live. The problem is bringing business into this community. One of the things they look for are community colleges. That's no disrespect to the online community college of the region or any of the universities or any of the private schools in the area. We have to look forward. We have to be imaginative, and we have to be investing. I don't care what you want to charge me for taxes, but put it to proper use for the future. My late wife was a 36-year teacher of General McLean School District, a product of Edinburgh University. My family is the historical family of the Garing Doctors of Edinburgh. So I have a lot to be proud of in our community. You have a lot to be proud of in your community. They have a lot of responsibility to make it better. No different than I in Edinburgh have to be responsible to my constituents, not Democrat, not Republican, the citizens. That's what we're here for. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
I've never done this before. Do I just start talking?
No, just state your name.
Okay. Hi. My name's Ashlyn Keenan. I'm a full-time student at Gannon University. I'm a sophomore. I'm a secondary education major. Today I just wanted to come talk about the whole Erie Community College stuff that's going on. I didn't come here to talk about numbers or statistics or any of that. I just really wanted to come and talk about my personal experience with education and everything. So I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college. I've been working full-time since I was 15, saving up to go to college. And I was blessed to be accepted into Gannon. I love it there so much. It's just so expensive. And all of my hard work that I had for the last 5 years all went into just 2 years of college and not even my full 4 years. So now I'm just trying to figure out how to take loans out and everything. And it's really stressful because I'm doing a lot of it on my own. So I just wanted to come here and just kind of speak out about I know kids my age, we don't really take the initiative to come do something like this and talk about our opinions and our beliefs, but our beliefs matter, and I just want to represent people in my demographic, So I think the advantage of having a community college, again, I don't really know all the logistics behind it. I'm just saying from the surface level what I see, it's just it benefits kids of multiple socioeconomic statuses. And I just think that you can have the smartest kid, but it doesn't even matter if they're not giving the tools to be successful, then they're not going to be able to advance past just high school. So I think if we do have a option for kids that don't just get everything handed to them, kids just like me, and then they can go and have those amazing opportunities and grow to be great people that they probably wouldn't have been able to do if they were just structured to be in this box of a public college or a private college where you're paying thousands of dollars and going into debt constantly, and then half the time not even being able to pursue the career you actually wanted because of financial reasons. So just thinking about the whole thing, just being able to accommodate more people of different socioeconomic statuses so we can give kids more opportunities, because you're passing that up, because someone could be great, could be your next leader and you wouldn't even know. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Terry Houlihan, I'm a resident of Harbor Creek. I'm 64. I've lived somewhere in Erie County most of my life, most of the time in the city. I know about all the scandals that he talked about. What I know today is that we pay $4,000 a year in property taxes. I don't have kids in school. I don't have grandkids in school. I don't care. Because I believe in Erie, I believe in Erie County. I went to a lot of the meetings, several meetings with Empower Erie, about the community college. I've asked questions of you, Mr. Anderson. And I went to more than one meeting because I wanted to make sure that I was going to hear the same answers every time. And I did. Your answers have always been consistent and clear. And I absolutely believe that a community college is something that we desperately need here. We've got a lot of minorities that cannot afford to go to college. You all know that. This young lady just told you they're being crushed with debt from colleges. If my taxes go up a little bit, which they're going to go up sooner or later anyway, if they go up to support a community college, I'm perfectly okay with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Houlihan.
Everybody else.
Good evening, Council. Thanks for letting me speak tonight, and thank all of you for running and being part of our democracy. I want to talk about the community college. You were given a packet of information that does have some names in it. And my concern mostly is the fund.
Could you state your name for the record?
Oh, John Whaley, sorry, 447 Gordon Lane, Erie. It's the creation of this college, it's the magical way we're going to fund it, and it's the way we're going to keep funding it. So Harrisburg has a great community college. Its budget this year is $140 million. They're facing a $9.7 million revenue shortfall. Their enrollment is down 25% in the last 5 years. The economy of Harrisburg is terrible, even though it's the state capital. That was not the magic bullet. That wasn't the unicorn that saved Harrisburg. My concern is the scope creep of what this community college will be. Harrisburg, for example, is hiring lifeguards and an assistant basketball coach right now. I don't see that anywhere in the plan, but I'm afraid that's what it's going to become. So the county is the sponsor of the community college. My question is, why is Empower Erie? Why was it created? Why are 1 or 2 members of council on that board? Why were they on it in the beginning? That's the most Erie thing that we do. We take a straightforward process and we Erie-ize it and we mess it up. Why do we have a middleman? Why are we giving tax dollars to this nonprofit that's set up as a private foundation, which is probably illegal under IRS rules because that's not what private foundations do. That's not how they get money or disperse money. But we've done studies. We're going to do more studies. There was a note December, I believe, asking for another $110,000 in legal fees to be paid. Who's the attorney that's going to get that money? Who are these so-called expert witnesses that are going to get $30,000 of Erie County taxpayer money? All we saw was a letter written on letterhead saying, I respectfully request $110,000. That should not be the way we do things, the way we allocate money, the way we spend money. So let's jump back in here. There are 14 community colleges in the state of Pennsylvania right now. Why have we spent 3 years, $400,000? Why has Ron DiNicola said we're in this for the long fight? Why has a Democratic governor not put the Erie one in his budget for next year? Why won't the democratically controlled board approve this thing? Even those folks really have their doubts. I wish I had 5 minutes. I'll come back next time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Renata Entley. I lived in the city of Erie for many, many years. Finally got out of the city this last year. My thing is that if you look, up the statistics of this city, it is in decline. Of course, everyone knows that. I personally sent my daughter out of the city to the Milton Hershey School to get her out of the school system. Much to my chagrin, she chose a Pennsylvania school to go to college to. We toured many schools out of state, and I was quite upset that she chose to stay in Pennsylvania, but it was affiliated with the Hershey School, so that made it easier. So the thing of it is that we do have colleges here. We have trade schools. I believe Triangle Tech just shut down. Don't know why, but that was one school that was here that's not here anymore. He did make a point about, the community college that was here that did fail. We're not looking for more failures in Erie. We're not looking for more tourist attractions. The problem is I mean, it's not the problem that I work with kids, but I do work with kids. I've been around kids. I drive a school bus. And I have worked with people that aren't financially stable, and I suggest to them what jobs to go to, where to go. We need school bus drivers, we need teachers, we need this, we need that. There's many things. You get trained to be a school bus driver. It's practically given to you, but they don't want to do it. They would rather sit and collect their bennies. I know a lady that owns Tim Hortons out in New York. When they raised the minimum wage, she lost half her workforce because the new raise cut into their bennies. The fact of the matter is that people don't have work ethic anymore. My boyfriend is sending his kids to trade schools. He wants his son to join the Air Force. Nobody's looking to go to college anymore. Nobody's looking to go to a community college. They want a trade. Like I said, the problem is that kids are sitting on computers. Kids are growing up in houses where parents aren't working. Everybody wants something for free. There's entitlement mentality. We just need to raise our kids better. And I believe that's the core of the problem. The core of the problem isn't opportunities, it's lack of initiative. So that's my say.
Hi, my name's Renee Vendetti. Good evening, taxpayers. Good evening, tax spenders. Not happy about the college. Camtech failed. Were you guys don't remember any of that? Weren't you around back then when that was there? I was coming then. I remember all that stuff. Like she said, a trade school is what we need. They don't need community college. They need trades. These kids don't want to go to school. They're all behind a TV, a game, a computer. They're not learning stuff. We need to work on the drugs, the crime, that kind of stuff. We don't need to spend money on a college. I mean, everybody's taxes are outrageous now. What do we need the community college for? We've failed already. Where's Fortis? What happened there? Erie Business Center. I mean, where are all these colleges, and we want to spend money on this now again? Look at the bed business we were in with Pleasant Ridge. It seems like every time you guys do something, it fails. You need to look at the long haul of everything, not just community college. It's other stuff you guys invest money in. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jason Lavery. I live in Mill Creek in Councilwoman Clear's district, and my business is in Councilman Horton's district. So I'm trying really hard not to say "Okay, Boomer." I'm sorry. I wasn't actually going to talk because I thought the point had been clearly expressed, but I think maybe people need to hear from somebody like me that actually employs 30 people that have college degrees that they're having a really hard time paying off. So I'll start with myself. When I graduated in 2000 in Northwestern, the only option was to really go to college. So I spent $50,000 and got a bachelor's degree that I couldn't use. So then the only thing I could do was go back and get a graduate school. Luckily, when I was in graduate school, I fell in love with brewing, so I ended up starting my brewery about a year after I got my master's degree. So the brewery just turned 10 years old in the city of Erie last year. So I employ 31 people right now in Erie and Crawford County. Sorry, my voice is a little shaky. I don't like public speaking. And a lot of them are there in the early 20s. And the only thing they have to do is to go to school and accrue all this debt, and it's so ridiculous. And the trades are an awesome option, and we definitely need more trades. But I know from my personal experience, if a community college would have been an option, I would have definitely done that. I have 3 kids. 2 of them are probably destined for a 4-year school, and one's probably going to go to a community college somewhere. Not ripping on my kids, but colleges are great for a community. I think Erie definitely deserves one. And then, speaking of trade school, we also need that as well. In my brewery, it's very technical. I work with plumbers, welders, HVAC guys, electricians every single day. And I think every single company we work with is hiring. So I think, the liberal arts and the trade school is definitely needed. Erie deserves a community college, and I hope it happens. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. John Stanner. I live here in the city. As a young man in high school, I wish I'd have done a little bit better. Wasn't sure if I could make it into college. So I signed up for a program at Mercyhurst. It was like an introduction. It was a beginning of a community college. Showed me that I could do it. So I ended up transferring to Gannon, ended up with my bachelor's degree, which I'm currently still paying for. And I took my son next door. He's at Gannon now, so I'm paying for myself and him. So we do need a community college. Stick with the fight. But I'm here to talk about some other things as well. In this day and age, people, the civility that goes on in social media, in politics, is out of control. The working man comes up here and he's attacking you guys. A lot of you guys aren't on social media. The stuff that he put on Facebook, attacking, well, especially you, Mr. Anderson, was totally false. He gets a copy.
No names.
No names. I already heard that.
Thanks for coming. Now, see, that's okay. We can disagree. We can argue. I didn't say nothing to them when they got up here and said something about you.
I just want to remind everybody, there's one chairman in here, so I appreciate your help, but we can do without it. And it's clear to me that no one has read our community college application based on the comments, because they do involve trades as well. And so there has been a lot of disinformation. Right. But I'm on your time.
Right. Some of the things that I see how people are acting to one another, towards one another, in this day and age are ridiculous. There are people that are out there wanting all this information, this and that. If you give them this information, they're going to start attacking people that are doing this and doing that. Nobody's going to want to do anything. They're not going to want to get involved. You guys got to put up with more crap. I ran for office. I've heard it. I know what it's all about. What he did, the vice chairman, Mary, you're a librarian. Let's say you're on the board of the library. You resign from the board. You're a librarian. I'm going to take a picture of you are a librarian. Then I'm going to get the copy of the budget from the library, and it says, well, they hire librarians. Guess what? Mary Rennie, she must be getting money from the library because it says they hire librarians. And he puts that on Facebook. And then he sits there and cries because there's being civil action put against him. You don't do that.
It's directed here.
I apologize. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. Any other citizens to be heard? Step right up.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Glass. I've been in Erie for a long time. I live in Mill Creek. I teach in Mill Creek Public Schools. And I just wanted to talk just a little bit about the comparison of the Northern Pennsylvania Regional College, just that they were saying that they offer many of the same programs like online. And I just wanted to say, as a teacher, it is very helpful to be able to interact with children one-to-one and adults and anybody who's learning to see where it is that they're making a mistake. And I understand that online option is there, which seems like it would work for Warren because it's more rural and maybe it is a little bit harder to get around. But in Erie, we have a growing community of immigrants, a growing community of people we should be trying to support and bring as many jobs and opportunities as we can to that area. And I do think that having the person who's there to discuss and talk and, those organic questions that could be answered. So I think that that's one aspect of being able to have humans in a building would help. So that's one aspect of the community college that I think would be helpful, that wouldn't be redundant. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other citizens?
Hello, my name is Kelly Carnes. I'm a lifelong resident of Erie County. I'm a small business owner and I'm also an educator. I've worked in a variety of grade levels and with a variety of ages of students. As an educator, I support opportunities for furthering learning in a wide variety of ways. I believe education has the power to change lives and improve people's lives. Erie is really lucky to have a variety of institutions for higher learning, but not all students want or need or find success at the four-year colleges that we have. I think that accessible and affordable post-secondary education options for our area would be incredibly progressive and incredibly helpful for our fourth largest city in Pennsylvania. Erie is continuing to strive for growth and for progress, and I think it's an exciting time to live in Erie, but the foundation for that progress is definitely education, so a community college would provide that accessible and affordable education for our residents. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard?
Good evening. Tim McNair. I live in Mill Creek. I am the chair of Empower Erie, which has worked for the last 3 years, 3+ years, to move forward this county's application for a community college. I want to thank County Council for having the fortitude and the foresight 2 years ago to agree that Erie County needs a community college and to file the application. It's been a long process. It's been prolonged, as we all know, by politics and other things, subject to random attacks by people, but the process is moving forward. The process is going to come to a head on March 18th. The State Board of Education is going to hold an evidentiary hearing here in Erie at the Blasco Library, and we will present our case to the board that Erie County has met every requirement of the Community College Act to be awarded a charter for a community college. That will be the beginning of the work for this council. You'll have to then appoint a board of trustees and move forward with actually creating and staffing a community college. Why do we need a community college? The poorest zip code in Pennsylvania is the one we are in right now, 16501. We need, people cannot get out of that poverty if they've got to pay $30,000, $40,000 a year for their first couple years of college. Community college offers accessible, affordable training, education. It gives people a pathway to a 4-year degree if they want, and it does that at a cost that is reasonable. We've heard taxpayers complain. Well, I'm a taxpayer, we're all taxpayers, and we're all paying taxes for community college. And we have been paying taxes for community college since 1964. Pennsylvania in the last 10 years, or Erie County in the last 10 years, has sent $28 million to Harrisburg that's gone to community colleges. And Erie County has gotten not one dime of that money. We're entitled to that money. A community college should be within a reasonable commuting distance of every major population center. Erie, the fourth largest city in the state, a major population center, does not have a community college within a reasonable commuting distance. Okay. All right. Well, I'll save it. I just want to, if I could, just conclude, Chairman, that there is demonstrated overwhelming support in the community for the community college. We need to get out on March 18th and show the State Board of Education that support. Thank you for indulging me.
Good evening, folks. James Tobin. I live in Erie, Pennsylvania. Let me tell you what doesn't work. I have a dead degree from Tri-State Business. I went to Tri-State Business when they changed over to Fortis, to get it changed to Fortis. Now I have 2 dead degrees. I have a son educated at Tech Memorial, machinist, makes 6 figures, didn't go to college. didn't go to a community college. I was educated at Erie County Technical School as a state inspection mechanic. I've raised 6 children. My home is paid for. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to a community college. We are overtaxed. We are underserviced. We are lied to. We are hidden information that we want. And then we watch as people tell us, we don't need to know. Enough. Get some transparency. If we're going to have it shoved down our throat, tell us why. Tell us why you, as you're elected, are going to be the watchdogs to make sure there is not a lot of people out here with 2-year degrees that if they don't have the funding to turn it into a 4-year degree, are not educated enough to start to know that that 2-year degree is useless. Thank you for your time.
Any other citizens to be heard? Any other citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move ahead with the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of the minutes from last meeting.
I move that the minutes be adopted.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by councilpersons Showerman and Anderson. Roll call.
For the approval of minutes, Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Rastatter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Schenk,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. There's no reports from the county executive and her designee tonight, so we'll go right to the finance committee report. Councilwoman Clear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I am presenting under old business ordinance numbers 4, 7, and under new business, I'll be presenting ordinance 8 and resolutions 8 and 9. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Clear. Personnel committee report, Councilwoman Rennie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Personnel Committee met on February 13th. Under old business, I am presenting ordinances 5 and 6. And under new business, I am presenting resolution number 8 and appointments D and E. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rennie. Any other council members desiring to make a report? I believe Mr. Anderson indicated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we always do what we've always done, we will always get what we've always had. No vision, no future, no hope for a large segment of our population that need this council to continue to stand up and work for them, to let them know that they will have opportunities to have a better future. There's those people who sit here and talk about transparency and fact, and they post on the internet taxing scares. Why, the most recent one that I've seen says that the taxpayers of Erie County will be taxed $500 per taxpayer if this community college is put into place. Well, let me put that into perspective for everyone here. The present millage of Erie County is 5.71 mils. That means for a value on a $100,000 home, each taxpayer pays $571. It amounts to $14 billion in value in Erie County, resulting in $81 million towards our annual budget. So if we pay $500 per taxpayer to pay for the community college, we'll roughly be raising $81 million, when in fact the community college plan says that we're looking to raise $3 million a year, an exaggeration of more than 10 times what will actually be charged if taxpayers are taxed. If taxpayers are taxed at $50, that's roughly 1/10 of what is claimed by those people who say that they want transparency and only live in fact, when the real fact is they don't live in reality. We sit up here and make decisions, and this council is transparent, and I'm honored to serve with the people that are up here with me and the people that were here last year. This council is bold. This council is forceful. This council is not going to sit here and allow the citizens of this community to go unserved. I was not elected to this office to manage decline. I was elected to be bold and make decisions that are going to move this community forward. You guys want to know the real concerns that we should have and we should be talking about here? Is the escalating costs that we have in our social service budget, which are absolutely outrageous. In the escalating costs that we have in our prison. We'll all sit here and not complain about paying $41,000 per year per inmate to house somebody in prison, yet we'll complain if we have to invest in another human being $3,000 a year. I was elected clearly. I stated, I'm for a community college. I remain for a community college, and I will fight for a community college until we get past what Erie County deserves, and that is for our application to be voted on by the Board of Education, who has taken over $28 million of our taxpayer money and spent it in other parts of the state. I agree with all of you, we should be outraged. That's what we should be outraged at. We should be outraged that over $300 million per year is spent every place else in this state except Erie County. We should be outraged that there's another organization that is serving Erie County right now that in their 5 years of existence has less than 2 graduates. And yet the taxpayers have paid $27 million. We should be outraged that their full-time equivalent students amounts to less than a dozen students in Erie County and is costing the taxpayers more than $113,000 per student. I agree with all of you. We should be outraged. But let's be outraged in reality, and let's be outraged at the right things. That this community has been treated as a second-class citizen to the rest of the state of Pennsylvania. And I, for one, won't sit by and let that happen. I will fight for Erie County and fight very hard with all I have, and will continue to do so as a member of this council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Any other council people desire to make a report or be heard? Well, I'll exercise my right to do that. I'll just say this about the college.
Could you speak into the microphone, because we can't hear you at all?
Yeah. I said that I will just say this about the community college. Can you hear me? And that is that we're not going to relitigate this thing, something that happened in 2017. We're not here to relitigate it on March 18th. You're going to have an evidentiary hearing, and they're going to vote on 3 things. 3 things that this Erie County application has already said that we met the criteria from the State Department of Education. And so I sat back idly by and I watched. I do peek on social media and I see some of the crazy stuff on there. Sometimes I might even say something crazy. But what I won't do is misinterpret. What I won't do is sit up and throw up everything against the wall and hope everything sticks. Because you can go on Erie County's website, and not only for the college, you can see just about every expenditure the county makes in real time. Y'all check it out sometime. You can see when they travel. You don't have to request it. It's up there for you. We want you to see it. I'm a huge proponent of transparency. That's not a transparency request. And the stuff that you're requesting of the county, you should be requesting of Empower Erie. And if you really want that information, you guys should exchange numbers, and he can probably meet your need. But a lot of the stuff that you said here doesn't apply here, doesn't go here. And to come here, and to what's the word? To come here and to insinuate that something illegal has been done is kind of slippery slope. Be careful what you say. Better make sure it's true. And if you have those concerns, then by all means you should report it upstairs to District Attorney Jack Denaire. I'm sure he'd look into it and investigate it. And maybe he wouldn't investigate it to your delight, but I assure you he would investigate. We're not going to relitigate it. And at this point, I also want to stand up for this even more so than I want to be heard for that. What I have is a citation from the County of Erie for Mrs. Mary Elizabeth Lee Kennedy. We know her as Mother Kennedy. Mother Kennedy was very, very, very special. She helped this beloved community in ways untold. She cared about people. And it reads as follows. Whereas Mary Elizabeth Lee Kennedy passed from this world on January 25th, 2020 at the age of 93 years, Mrs. Kennedy was born on August 14, 1926 in Newcastle, PA. And whereas after moving to Erie in her youth, Mary Elizabeth attended Holy Trinity Church of God in Christ. She participated in youth activities at the Erie City Mission. She was the valedictorian of the 1944 graduating class at Strong Benson High School. She attended Temple University on a full scholarship secured for her by a mentor graduating in 1948 with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. And whereas Mary Elizabeth met her beloved husband, Charles Kennedy Sr., at an American Friends Service Committee gathering in 1946, marrying in 1949 in New York City. They went on to live in Puerto Rico for 5 years before missionary work took the couple to Liberia in 1956 until they returned to Erie in 1964. And whereas Mother Kennedy and Reverend Kennedy strove to share God's love with the community, the couple founded Community Country Day School for at-risk students whose needs were not being addressed by the public schools. Kind of ironic, talking about education. They also founded the Community Drop-In Center, now known as Community Shelter Services, offering emergency counseling for teenagers who need shelter and structure, and the Community of Caring, a social service agency which works to meet its clients' basic needs of shelter, food, counseling, and whereas a lifelong member of the Church of God in Christ, she remained active in overseas work, traveling to at least 30 countries over her lifetime, establishing schools, orphanages, and clinics in Liberia, the Ivory Coast, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and many more, ending her international journeys in 2010. And whereas in addition to her missionary work, Mother Kennedy was a licensed midwife, earning a practical nursing degree focused on medical missions. She received a professional teaching certificate in the education of students with intellectual and physical disabilities from Edinburgh State University in 1983. She earned a master's degree in Bible theology from the International Bible Institute and Seminary in 1981. She received an honorary doctorate from Edinburgh University. She published volumes of inspirational poetry and instructional books, including Teach Me, Lord, a children's study book of Bible stories, Habla Conmigo, a book of conversational Spanish, and Love Therapy, a manual on proprietary techniques developed at the Community Country Day School. And whereas Mother Kennedy has been the recipient of many awards, including the prestigious United Way de Tocqueville, I'm not French award. She awarded the Community Service Award 2017 by the Erie Community Foundation. She was an oblate with the Benedictine Sisters of Erie, and whereas, in addition to her parents and husband, Mary Elizabeth was preceded in death by her son Charles Kennedy Jr. and his son-in-law Billy Brown. She leaves a daughter-in-law, Cindy Kennedy, 3 daughters, Mary Ann Brown, Elizabeth Betsy Rose, and Grace Kennedy Foster. 8 grandchildren, 4 great-grandsons, a sister-in-law, nephews Tom Lee, and our own Director of Administration, Gary Lee, is also her nephew, and many other family members. So now, therefore, we, the undersigned members of Erie County Council, join in celebrating the life of Mother Kennedy, a woman dedicated to spreading God's love through compassion, strength, and resilience. Mother Kennedy strengthened the community and the world with her resourcefulness, determination, and above all, love. May she rest in peace. Thank you all for indulging. And this citation will be hand-carried to her daughters, along with a personal letter. Okay. Old business. Mr. Smith, I have a second reading of ordinance number 4, 2020, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 4, 2020, third 2020 general fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $9,000 to correct office supplies line item for the district attorney.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded by councilpersons Clear and Rastatter. Any discussion on the matter? You ready for the question? Roll call, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance 4, Mrs. Clear.
Yes.
Mr. Rastatter.
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie.
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman.
Yes.
Mr. Schenk.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 5, 2020, please. In title only, Mr. Smith.
A second reading of ordinance number 5, 2020, fourth 2020 general fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $4,568 for court IT network administration analyst job reclassification.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by councilpersons Rennie and Anderson. Any discussion on this matter? Roll call, please.
On ordinance 5, Mr. Rastatter.
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie.
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman.
Yes.
Mr. Schenk.
No.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Clear.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 6, 2020, in title only, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 6, 2020, fifth 2020 general fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $58,240 for creation of juvenile probation position to meet DPW OCYF mandate.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by councilpersons Rennie and Anderson. Any discussion on this matter? Roll call, please.
On ordinance 6, Mrs. Rennie.
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman.
Yes.
Mr. Schenk.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Clear.
Yes.
Mr. Rastatter.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 7, 2020, in title only, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 7, 2020, approving a waiver of the bid requirements of the county purchasing code to select a printer qualified by Dominion voting for Erie County elections in 2020.
Motion to approve ordinance number 7.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by councilpersons Clear and Anderson.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman.
I'd like to offer an amendment to this particular ordinance. And on my amendment, in the title, after the word select, I would like to insert a comma and add in there Gore's Printing Service, a division of Haynes Printing, comma. And under the description, strike out the second sentence beginning with no Pennsylvania company, and strike out the last sentence beginning with it is. And where the no Pennsylvania, where that sentence begins, add in that Gore's Printing Service, a division of Haynes Printing, a Pennsylvania company within Erie County, is a certified company by Dominion Voting. Those would be, I make that as a motion to make those amendments, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded for the amendment.
Yeah, I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded and thirded. It's going to be properly moved by Councilwoman Clear and Councilman Shank. Any discussion on this?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words. We're very proud of Haynes Printing of Northeast. This is actually a pretty big deal. We haven't had a printer certified in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in this area. So to have a local vendor printer step up to be certified through Dominion is a very tedious process. And I had the privilege of announcing that we are very, very proud of them. Northeast is my district. So we had a meeting with the owner. He came here and explained the process. It is not as simple as we thought it was. When you're dealing with very specific paper, how the machines are cleaned, and how the whole process has to be sealed. So we're very proud to have a local vendor spending taxpayer dollars from our county, spent in our county, and not sent across the border to New York. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Could I just add in, to explain to folks who are here, as most people know, last year we were mandated by the state to institute a new voter system in Erie County. We chose Dominion Voting under the new laws, which were Act 77 of 2019, Pennsylvania Law, Act 77. It's required that we have paper ballot and paper trail backup. When you do that, you obviously have to have paper. And with the equipment that we purchased from Dominion Voting, they require certain specifications from printers to make sure that their equipment is properly used and stays in warranty and extends its life. And so therefore, they go through a process to certify printing companies. And the closest printing company, as Mr. Shank mentioned, to our area was in New York State, particularly in Rochester. And so we did learn that a local printer was working on the certification and did receive that certification. And so Dominion Voting had sent us the certificate for them that they meet all the criteria following the specs of Dominion Voting under the contract that we have with Dominion as our voting machine vendor. And so we make these amendments to the resolution and move forward with this tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. So protocol mandates that we deal with the amendment first.
Yes, sir.
So Roll call, Mr. Smith, on the amendment.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. Roll call on the ordinance.
on ordinance 7 as amended, Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. Under new business, first reading of ordinance number 8, 2020.
A first reading of ordinance number 8, 2020, first 2020 general fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $2,000 donation to Veterans Treatment Court by Disabled American Veterans, DAV.
Everybody speak at once. I entertain a motion to accept that donation. So moved. Oh, yeah, yeah. First reading. On the road. Thank you, Vice Chair. Good co-pilot. Item B, resolution number 8, 2020.
Resolution number 8, 2020, section 504 and ADA, designation of coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilpersons Anderson and Clear. Any discussion on this matter? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On resolution 8, Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. Resolution 9, 2020.
Resolution number 9, 2020, a three-year agreement between the County of Erie and the law firm of McDonald, Illig, Jones, and Britton, LLP, for lien-free tax sales.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded by Councilpersons Anderson and Clear. Any discussion on that matter? This matter. Roll call, please.
On resolution 9, Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. And we have two appointments, and we'll just read them individually. Possible appointment of Jack Lee to Erie County Land Bank for a 5-year term. I'll entertain the motion for that as well. So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilperson Braxton and Clear. Roll call.
on the appointment of Mr. Lee, Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. And last on the agenda, possible appointment of Yvette Miller to the Office of Children and Youth Advisory Board. It's a 4-year term, ended in 2023, and I'll entertain the motion to accept that.
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilpersons Rennie and Shower. Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
on the appointment of Yvette Miller, Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. Please note, next Finance and Personnel meeting scheduled for February 27th, and followed by our next general meeting March 3rd. And I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We're adjourned.
Second.